Today we're going to talk about PSO2 or Phantasy Star Online 2, my newest obsession. And I'll be talking about perfect guards because if you like Monster Hunter, you like those guard points, then you're going to like this game. Because a lot of the melee classes can actually perfect guard, which is essentially a guard point. There are a few weapon actions that have guard frames, kind of like iframes, but there's a certain amount of frames where you're able to get away with a perfect guard. And today I'm going to teach you how to do that with two of the game's melee classes. So we're going to start off with the most simplest guard points of them all, or perfect guards. And that's with sword with the hunter class. All you have to do is guard at the right time, right before the enemy hits you, and you activate a perfect guard. A really good thing about this game in particular is that even grabs from the enemy can be perfect guarded. Also, if you allocate your skill points in your skill tree correctly, you'll actually be able to gain a little bit of PP back from perfect guarding, and you'll also do a little bit of damage to the enemy, which is a little helpful. Keep in mind that all of these guard skills will need to be unlocked in your skill tree before you can use them. So if you're just starting out, you'll have to level up your class just a bit in order to use these perfect guard skills. So next up is the charge parry, and this is done by using any photon art that can be charged. The startup of these PAs actually have guard frames, and you have 1.5 seconds of guard frames. So pretty much when you see the enemy is about to hit you, you quickly hold the button down for that PA, and then you can activate the perfect guard from there. Now this in particular is very good for getting damage off and guarding at the same time. This is probably one of the best, or maybe the second best method of perfect guards for a hunter. You're really going to want to know your enemy in order to use this competently, because otherwise you'll find yourself failing a lot. So much like Monster Hunter, you're going to have to study a lot of enemies and bosses to get this down packed. It's going to take a while, but once you get it there, you're going to be a pro hunter pretty soon. Next up is my personal favorite for hunters, and that's the Blaze Parry PA. Now this photon art can actually either be bought on the player shop, or you can get it from a drop. It's pretty rare though. So in between the first 3 slashes of this PA, you can press the guard action button, and you can actually activate your guard frames. If you press the guard button after the first 3 slashes, you'll actually just cancel out the PA with a guard, which can be good or bad depending on the situation. It's all about control. So this PA is actually the creme de la creme of damage for hunters. And it's also probably the hardest to master. So as you can see, once I get that perfect guard off with those guard frames, the damage actually gets even greater when I perfect guard with Blaze Parry. And this is why it's one of the best ways to parry with Hunter. But you need to know your enemy extremely well, because if you do it too early or too late, you're gonna get rocked. Next up is the Katana with the Braver class. Now Braver is pretty simple with the Katana, but I'll say that its perfect guard stance is probably one of the best in the game so far, and one of the most powerful counters. Use the guard action button and press it as soon as you're about to get hit for a powerful Katana counter. And then once you have focus build up for Katana, you'll activate an aura once you get that perfect guard off, and this aura makes you extremely powerful because it gives you a 30% melee attack increase and 50% crit increase. It's powerful as fuck. This style of play is the best way to play Braver and the best way to get the most damage off with the class, with Katana specifically. Only downside is that it's going to take a while to know your enemy, and you're going to want to have great positioning all the time. It's going to take some practice. And bam! That's it for the tips for today. I also think that this was the best time for me to dip my toes into content creation for PSO2 as well. And I figured it was probably the perfect choice considering that it's a lot like Monster Hunter. Both of these series are very similar, and the original PSO actually directly inspired Monster Hunter, so you know, the comparisons are definitely there. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking, commenting, and maybe subscribing, as it really helps me out.